Hi everyone, in this video I'll show you how to create your first repository, your first entity, and save your data in database. So just a quick explanation of what are entities in hexagonal architecture. You can think of entities as core business objects that have our business rules. So for example, for our to-do app, an entity is going to be our to-dos. Let's say you are working with an e-commerce system. Entities would have been the order, the product, the customer. And let's say you are working with a banking system. You have accounts, transactions, payments. You get the idea. So just a quick recap of what we have done on the previous videos. We have created our presentation layer, which for us is the FastAPI router. We have created our to-do schemas. We have created our to-do API mapper, which converted our schemas to application DTOs. And we passed them to our application layer, which for us is the to-do service. So what we need to do now, let's go ahead and close this. First, we need to define our repositories. But before we do that, we need to go to our application layer and create an interface for that repository. So we're going to go to application, new folder, and name it interfaces. And here I'm going to create my to-do repository. And let's just update what our class accepts argument. So we're gonna have a to-do ID here, string. So on get all to-dos, no arguments, and we'll have to to-do ID like that. And both are gonna be strings. Okay, great. Now I think it's a good time to also create our entities. So we'll have core domain entities, and here I'm gonna add my to-do entity. To-do entity.py, and here I'm gonna create a class, a Python class that we're gonna be instantiating, and this is where we're gonna add our business rule. Okay, let's do base entity, class base entity, and here we can say we have a method that it's responsible for doing a validation for our entities. And for my to-do entity, I'll just go ahead and inherit from there. So from dot base entity import base entity, and I'll just inherit from there. Now, what this will do, why are we using this class? Why are we inheriting from base entity? Because it seemingly does nothing. We want to have this method accessible to our to-do entity. However, if we don't implement it and we use it, we want to raise an exception. And once we, so we initialize our class. I'll just override the validate method in my to-do. Okay, so, and here we also want to validate, self.validate. Okay, so this is how we're going to be enforcing our business rules. So in different parts of your application, if you want to create a to-do entity, you don't need to do these validations manually in your application layer. Okay, so I'll go back to our repository. And from here, I would like to, let's also convert this to package. And let's go ahead and, I don't like this folder structure. So we'll probably, name it like to do. And we can add our entity like this, to do entity here. And maybe we can keep it in the domain layer like this. And yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it like this for now. I think it makes more sense. So imports are updated. Okay, awesome. So just go ahead and save. So let's go back to our repository. And I will add a package here because I want to export it. So from .todo entity, import todo entity, todo entity. So from core.domain, okay, so we have our interface. Now we need to go to our infrastructure layer and implement and do the concrete implementation for our repository. So we'll go to infra db. And we're gonna add a new folder and call it repositories. I guess for this, it really depends how you want to organize it. Maybe you want to have, I don't know, like a infra database, and instead of having models and repositories, maybe you want to have a to-do, which actually might be more reasonable. So I'll just to be consistent with my rest of the application. So I'll just go ahead and delete this. I'll go to the models and import my to-do here. Okay, so init imports from the correct package. So we have the to-do model, we're gonna add the to-do repository. Okay, great. And let's implement that. And let's implement our methods. Yes, we need also the ORM model. So from infra.db.todo import todo model. Okay, I think we're missing a package again. Yes, that's correct. So I'm gonna go init py from todo model import todo model from todo repository import todo repository. Okay, it's gonna be a to-do model. Oops, that's incorrect. To-do model. Okay, that's what we need. And for add to-do, we're gonna say, so model equals to-do model. Okay, we forgot something quite important. Because we'll be accepting entities and we will be working with ORM models, we also need a mapper that is going to help us translate between the entities and the ORM models and vice versa. So in our infra.db to-do, we also need to add a to-do mapper. And I also want to create a base mapper, base ORM mapper. Actually, here we could add a new folder, name it shared, and throw everything inside. Maybe it's gonna be better. So I'm gonna add it like this: shared. Add here. Go back. We'll also need an init.py from dot base ORM import base ORM mapper. I'm gonna add it like this. Go back. Yes, okay, so now we're back to our to-do ORM mapper, and now I'm gonna implement the methods that we need. So I'm gonna say from dot.shared import to-do, sorry, it's gonna be in base ORM mapper. I'm gonna say class to-do ORM mapper inherits from base ORM mapper. I'm gonna copy paste this, delete these two, we don't need them. And from here we also need to import our ORM model as well as our entity. So from core.infra.db.todo import todo model, and from core.domain.todo import todo entity. So from ORM to NTD, it's gonna accept an ORM, which is gonna be the to-do model, and it's gonna return the to NTD. And here we're gonna do the vice versa. So NTD, and it's gonna return a to-do model. Okay, so we have done this as well. Also, we need to convert them to static methods. So what static methods do, let's say we want to group a bunch of functions together that they relate, but they are not really used in a class. We can use a static method. So it will create, let's say, this stateless class that we can use its methods without actually needing to initialize a class. So I'll show you how this will look like. So, okay, we're done that. Let's go back to our repository. Okay, so now we also need to import our ORM Mapper, so export it from here. So from todo Mapper, import todo ORM Mapper. So we have infra, so from core.infra.db.todo import todo model, and we have the mapper. So we're gonna say to do ORM mapper.ntd to ORM. We're gonna pass our entity, and gonna say self.db.add model, self.db.commit, and self.db.refresh. And now we're gonna return back our model, but before that we're gonna create our entity, which we can do it with to do ORM Mapper dot ORM to entity and model. Oof, okay, that's correct. Now let's get to do by ID. Here we're gonna write a query, but with the ORM semantics, which is gonna be q equals self.db.query. We're gonna query the to-do model dot filter to-do model dot ID equals to-do ID. Model, it's gonna be q.first, and return to do ORM Mapper ORM to entity model. Also, there's a chance that this is gonna be a none, so if not model, return none. Or even better, you can say return if model, else none. Okay, that works too. And get all to-dos, we'll just go ahead and do that. Dot all. Actually, it's gonna be models equals q.all. For this, we don't need to filter, so I guess we can just go ahead and do that. Now you can either process the array, because this is going to be an array of models. So you can either create a new array and translate each model one by one, or you can go back to the to do ORM Mapper and just add a new method for list, which is going to be super easy. So we're going to go and copy this. This is going to be a list. It's going to be ORM list. ORMs to entities. Let's do it like that. So we're gonna say this is also gonna be a list. ORMs. We can say return to reference our class. We need to use the class name instead of self, because self it's only accessible with initialization. So we're gonna say to do ORM Mapper dot ORM to entity for sorry, it's gonna be ORM for ORM in ORMs. So this will translate an array of ORMs to entities. So let's go back. We can also update our base method. Oops. So we can do it like that. We can also say from typing import any. Okay, let's make it a bit neater. So ORM any, same thing here, but it's gonna be an entity. And here we're gonna have a list. Oops. And we're gonna return a list of any. It's a little bit more descriptive now. So we have that, and here we're gonna say return todo ORM Mapper dot ORMs to entities. Okay, I think that's wrong. This is a typo. This should have been entities. Let's go here. Whoops. Here. Replace. Go back. ORM to entities and models. Now let's also do the update. First, we're gonna query if our model exists. We're gonna be using this method as well for delete. So what we can do, we can create a new async method. And we're gonna make it a private and say get to do by ID. Here we're gonna return the model. So we're not gonna have the to entity, but it's gonna return a to do model. Get to do by ID. So we can say self dot get to do by ID to do ID. So we can go ahead and delete that. So same thing for update, we can go like that. We can just get the initial model. Okay, now I'm thinking what's the best way to do that. Because we have only 2 fields, I think we can get away with just manually updating the things that we want to update. Actually, we said that for the purpose of this application, we're gonna only have 1 field that it's possible to update. So when we update, essentially, we only have description. So update to do. Okay, that's wrong. We don't just need the to do ID. So we're gonna receive an entire entity. So we're gonna receive what do we say here? Okay, it's gonna be a to do. It's gonna be an entity. Okay, that's correct. Let's go back to our interface. Update to do. This is gonna be a to do. This is gonna be an entity. Our repository actually doesn't need to know anything about the update because we will do the update from our entity. We'll apply all business rules in our entities and we'll just update the field here. So we can go ahead and get our todo.id. And we can say model.description. It's gonna be todo.description. Okay, it doesn't like this. Get to do by ID. Okay, so there's a possibility that this will turn none. So we need to do an early exit. So if not model, return none. So our model, it's okay, we need to await, my bad. Get to do, this is gonna be await. Okay, if not model, return none. model description, and here we're gonna say self.db.commit and self.db.refresh db.refresh model. And again, same thing, we're gonna return with our mapper. But now we know that we do have a model. And now let's go ahead and do the delete to do. We need to inject our repository to our application service. So for that, we need to go to API v1 dependencies. Okay, so we are injecting our repository to our service now. Now here I'm going to import our interface. So from dot interfaces import to the repository interface, and here I'm gonna say repository. It's gonna be like that, and repository. Okay, good. And actually we are kind of close of finishing this. I know it doesn't seem like it, but we actually are, because we wrote so much boilerplate code. And now we just need to add our mappers that we haven't done. So, okay, let's also create our mappers. Okay, actually, maybe for the application, it will make sense to reorganize our directory to have to do and then have the application service, DTOs, interfaces, but I'll just keep it like this for now. So we have our mappers here. Okay, done. So let's go back to our service and let's finally finish our application layer. So here I'm gonna say to do equals, okay, we also need to import our mapper now, right, that we have just created. So we also need an init here from to do mapper import to do and DTO mapper. So or to do DTO mapper, and let's go ahead and import that. So from mappers import to mapper. Okay, no, that's not correct. We need to go here. Okay, that's correct. It's gonna be a to do mapper dot and DTO to entity. We're gonna pass our DTO. So you have our entity. It's gonna get validated. So let's go ahead and create it. So we can say created to do equals await self dot repository dot create dot to do. We're gonna pass our to do, and here we're gonna just return back our DTO. So it's gonna be a DTO to mapper entity to DTO. We're gonna return our created to do. Right, so these are created, get to do by ID. We don't need that, so we can say to do. It's in get to do. We're gonna pass the to do ID. So we're gonna get a single to do, and again, we're gonna return our to do. We could also say if not to do, raise exception to do not found. Okay, get all to do's. We can say to do's dot get all to do's, return gonna be, okay, let's go ahead and remove that. It's gonna be entities and DTOs, to-dos. Update to do. This is gonna be a slightly different. First, we're gonna get our to do. Here we can also go to our to do entity. So it's gonna be entities. It's gonna be to do entity. And here we could also add an update dot update method. Update. Here we know we're gonna get a new to do entity. Okay, we can't really reference itself, so just, I guess there's a way to do it, but I'll just keep it for now. So from typing, import any. And here we could say self.description equals entity.description, again, because it's only gonna be one field we can modify, and we'll run again our validation. So we're gonna say, so this will return an entity. We can say to do dot update, and it's gonna be a to do. Actually, this will be a to do entity, right? It's gonna be a to do in DTO, so it's gonna be like that. Here we're gonna pass DTO dot entity dot ID. Okay, let's okay, for convenience, I'll just update the title in my entity to do entity. So we can say update description. We can send description string, so it's gonna be like that. Dot update description, and here I'm gonna add DTO dot description. Here I'm gonna say updated to do equals await self.db self.repository dot update to do. We're gonna send the to do, and here we're gonna say return like that, updated to do. And here we're gonna delete our to do, which is gonna be response equals await self dot repository dot delete to do ID. If not response, we could say let's do it like that. This will return a boolean. Let's also check again our repository just to make sure. So on delete to do, okay, that's incorrect. This should have been a boolean. Let's go back to our repository. This should be a boolean. Okay, I think we are done. We'll probably get a bunch of exceptions, but I think it's something that we should be able to deal with. So let's go ahead and start our development server. Okay, that's not a good start. Let's go ahead and check. It says about okay, I know it's the I know exactly what's the problem. Okay, we need to change that. So from dot todo import todo model todo model. Okay, I guess we just need to do it like that. I guess. And here, what does it says? It cannot import to do ORM Mapper. Okay, because we need, okay, so when we are importing from the same files, just directly reference them from their relative import, not their absolute path. So I'm gonna delete that and say from dot mapper import to do ORM Mapper, and we also need the to do model. So from dot model import to do model. This should solve it. Okay, it's back this one, so I guess it has to be an array. Oof, okay, that's a rough start. Let's hope that the rest will go smoothly. So we have our Swagger here, and let's try and check it out. So let's create one. Internal server error. A relation to do's that does not exist. Okay, so I have downgraded my DB actually yesterday, and I forgot to run again the Alembic migration, so we don't have any tables. So I guess I'll just activate my virtual environment and run the migration really quick. Okay, so this should work. Okay, tables there. Okay, new error. What's this now? Okay, it says that we're passing a null ID. Okay, so I found the issue. That's okay, I got the issue. The issue is that we're saying, okay, it's gonna be a UUID, but we never initialize the value. We haven't added a default value to that. So in order to do that, we need to just go here and say default. It's gonna be a uuind.uuind4. And we need to import uuind package. Okay. We don't need to run a migration for it because this is like this is for our ORM class, so no need to add a migration for it. Okay. Okay, apparently, okay, we just need to restart. Let's see. And okay, I guess that's with the repository. Let's go back. Okay, refresh model. Okay, that's my bad. But we haven't added a rollback in case of exception. So the model has already been added. So I guess we should be able to get our to do. Okay, it's been created, but with an exception. So let's go ahead and hit again. Gonna disable that one. Hit play. To do mapper. Okay. We forgot to return our DTO. Return DTO. Okay, that was my bad. Let's try again. Hit it again. To do mapper line 8. We need to also say that we need to instantiate them to none. Okay, that's my bad. Okay, one final thing, and this should work definitely. Or not. Okay, it's fine. Our flow works, is that our response model doesn't get the things that it should be getting. Okay, so I found the issue. The problem is that we are returning a none as a string instead of a none. So it doesn't really understand that it's a none value and it thinks it's a string of an invalid format. So let's go ahead and debug that a little bit. So endpoints, to do router, gonna add a breakpoint here, hit play. So this is our to do, that's correct. Let's go to our service, to do. Here we have the none, that's correct. So the model, it's, okay, that's correct. Let's go to the mapper. Okay, my bad, this shouldn't be a string. When did I add this? Okay, that's wrong. That's why it's failing. We also don't need to do the title and the description. Probably my copy paste. Okay, that was the problem. Okay, let's hit play. And if we go back, now this should definitely work. It's impossible not to work. Yeah, we don't care. Okay, 201 created, so that's correct. So let's go to our database, select to-dos. Okay, quite the times to try it. Let's also try and delete. Let's select the to-do. So select stuff from to-dos where ID equals this. So we have that, right? So we'll just copy this ID. Let's try the get all to-dos now. Let's see if that will work. Okay, we don't care about that one. Okay, so we get all of our to-dos, that's correct, but we only get the ID and the title. So I guess we'll have to check why is that. To-do response schema. Okay, that's why we haven't listed the title. So, sorry, the description. So to do, it's this one. Okay, actually no, that's correct. Because we are retrieving the to-dos as a list. And we said that if we were to render it, we're gonna just show the title and the ID to the user and they can click on it to do and they can proceed to view the entire to-do details. So actually that's correct. So let's go get to do. Let's add our ID. Okay, that's correct. We don't show then deleted that field. Let's update our to do. We're gonna add this ID here. We're gonna add, I don't know, my updated description. Let's hit save. Of course, there's an error. Let's see. Update to do schema has no attribute title. That's correct. Update to do schema, that's correct. So it's probably with the mapper. This is what I'm thinking. So put, okay, that's wrong. It's from update schema. From update schema. Let's try that again. Okay, so this seems correct. Let's check our database. Go here. So we should be able to see our description to update. My updated description, that's correct. Of course, there's a typo. And finally, let's try and delete our to-do. So we got a 204, okay, which means that's correct. And let's check our database. You see, this is not here anymore. And let's try to delete it again. Now, okay, that's correct because we are raising an exception, but we are not handling it. So that's correct. So we have defined asynchronous functions here, but we are not using the await keyword, right? So what are we really, so how our code is async? Well, it's not really async. So what we need to do, repository, actually no, it's not here. We need to go to InFrontDB. So core InFrontDB, our session. So our session now, it's synchronous. We need to convert this to an async connection. And we also need to, once we do that, we'll just have to go to our dependency injection for our database, convert the getDB also to an async function, and just use the await keyword to make our code truly async. For the next videos, I don't know what the plan is, because I would really like to show you how to configure a logger and how to properly handle exceptions, but we'll see. Okay, so thank you for watching. Please, like and subscribe. It's gonna really help my channel to grow, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.